All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Batar Project. Super grateful for today's guest, Bronte. Thank you for making the trip out here.
That's all right. Not like a drive.
We'll start with what's something you're grateful for today?
Oh, I'm grateful for my partner. He drove me out here, and yeah, he's got coffee on his shirt, hanging out in the car. So, but I'm also grateful, kind of tying into the endo, that mine's not as bad. You know, there's women out there with pretty fucked up kind of situations with this, and day-to-day pain and implications from that. So, something I'm grateful for.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm grateful for you making the trip out here. And I know it can be a trek at times, but yeah, super grateful and I can't wait to touch on what we're going to touch on today.
That's all right. I like to be face-to-face as well.
Yeah.
Over the computer, I get a bit like, do you like it? Like,
yeah, you can get a sense of the
are
energy.
we loving this?
But to be honest, as I mentioned before, I was actually quite hesitant when you reached out to me to talk about endometriosis.
Yes, got it. Yes, good.
Tongue
You're
twister.
like, oh, we're done. Pack it up.
But yes, that's what we're going to be talking about today. She reached out to me to discuss it.
Slid in the DMs.
Yeah, and I really had no clue what the hell it was. And I kind of left the message for a bit. And then it started popping up on my feed. Like people had
The
it.
Russians listening.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? What is this? And then it's popping. I'm like, all right, let's get you on the podcast to talk about it. It seems to be pretty common.
Yeah. A lot more common, and I think a lot more undiagnosed than we think. So there's a lot of kind of women walking around, and which will be teenagers up to nearly kind of premenopausal women who don't know, and they just think it's normal. Like, all this pain's normal, and it's not. So it's concerning.
Yes. For the people out there, do you want to kind of give a quick introduction on yourself?
Yeah. So I'm Bronte. I'm a personal trainer at the moment. Bit of a part-time dickhead. At the gym, it's actually got on my signboard, so experience. So I thought I'd make it a bit unserious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So qualifications, I said, look, uncertified life counsellor, like, because that's what happens when you go to the PT. There's like the florist, hairdresser. So I'm taking people online and just a lot of females, and I'm getting messages from females from all over the world, which is, I feel like Mr. 305, like shave my head, Mr. Worldwide, like, with different kind of pain conditions. And I just say, look, as much as I want to help, I'm a little bit hesitant. Like, I need to stay in my lane, but then there's a whole nother world of being a PT when it comes into your lifestyle. Do you know what I mean? It comes into other health conditions that you should have some knowledge about, or at least try and go and investigate, because there's a lot of trainers still that are a bit like, they're hesitant, they're scared, and like, shit, I understand, you don't want to prescribe someone a program and then, fuck, they have a heart attack and fall off a cliff or something. Then you're like, shit, I'm liable. Like, It's scary. You're playing with people's, bodies, really. So, I'm a PT. I have endometriosis. I feel comfortable saying that, which is good. Feels like, it's like a label, but it doesn't define who I am as a person. And for a period of time, I felt like it did. Because you'd pull the endo card, I can't.
Did you feel like there was a bit of shame behind that, or?
It was frustrating. It was more frustrating than anything, because it's not like an STI or something that someone's given you that you can kind of blame someone for. It's a disease, so it's an inflammatory disease. It just happens. My cousin has got similar kind of symptoms. But she doesn't know she has it. She's never looked into it. She's a bit old school, and that's the stigma around. Just leave it, deal with it, get the heat pack, take the day off school, and on you go. It's normal. But I'm very inquisitive. I always want to know why, so I investigated further, and I was diagnosed last year, and you can only be diagnosed by kind of having the operation. So you can do a few tests before. So ultrasound, you do an internal ultrasound. It's called transvaginal, I think. Transvaginal, I know. There's some really fucking weird words. There's like vaginismus, which means like pretty much closing, like trauma of the vagina, so like you can't go in. So that's a bit sucky.
Straight into it, and for all the guys listening,
you're going to learn a lot today.
You're going to learn a lot, and if you discussed it already, just turn it off.
No, you know what? They're going to go to a date and they're going to be like, oh, so, getting to know. So do you have endometriosis? Oh, and the girl will be like, they'll just be like, shit. They'll be like, I'm going on with you. You know your stuff. You're empathetic. So, look, I've taught other trainers, about this, and just simple stuff. Like, you can go into it for, God, I could probably run like a week course on it, because it impacts like your diet, your sleep, your exercise, your relationships, you know, intimacy, everything. But yeah, so I was diagnosed and had the operation last year, which requires like a keyhole surgery. So I was sent off for that. Don't love hospital, but I get a bit of anxiety myself. So I was like, that's cool. It was at a weird time in my life. So I got my period 3 times in the month, and I thought, all right, I don't think this is normal. This is not right. Look, I was partying at the time. I wasn't sleeping much. I was taking days off work because, you know, I had big weekends. Like, I was running a lot, so I got into running, and I thought this is great. Around the beginning of COVID. Yeah, I thought, shit, this is not right, and it's a bit annoying. So don't own white pants often, or you know, wear white pants often. But yeah, it's annoying, it's frustrating, it gets in the way, and so I investigated. So I had the operation, and I looked into it beforehand. I was freaking out. And I've got this Facebook group called Australian Endometriosis kind of awareness group, and you see some shit in there. Like,
Yeah,
I'm telling you, it's like the best of the best sometimes, maybe 1% of the time, 99% the worst of the worst.
So people just open to sharing
Oh,
everything.
like, and full Karens, you know what I mean? But Karens, and I feel sorry for them, but then there's people who identify themselves, like they use that as identification, do you know what I mean? It's the endo card, it's like, poor me,
Victim.
I can't do anything.
Yeah.
Because I'm the worst of the worst, and you're always, you know, going to get the worst of the worst.
Yeah.
So everyone freaks out, and I think those groups are a bit hit and miss with women who are not really sure at the beginning of their journey with this. But I went in there, and girls were saying, "Oh, you're going to have a catheter. You're going to wake up with a fucking catheter, and you're going to have like this bag coming out the side of your stomach." And I was like, oh my God. So I'm YouTubing, you know, how to get this, how they're going to, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't do this. I was like, I'll just deal with period pain. That's fine. But I thought, no, I need to do this. So they go in, they blow your belly up full of air, and they kind of get scissors. So it's keyhole surgery. So 3 little kind of dots, similar to if you get your appendix out.
Yep.
Yeah. Go in there, and, you know, woke up, felt cooked, and the nurse came and saw me, and she's like, it's all done. And I ripped the blanket up. I'm like, shit, do I have a catheter? She's like, what are you doing? And I was like, I saw all this stuff online. You know, am I peeing in a bag? She's like, no, it's good. I'm like, okay. So yeah, I was off flying with the fairies, had some food and felt a bit sick. And I was like, I just want to go home. Do you know what I mean? You get to that point, you think, okay, I've got bandages all over me. I've got weird stuff coming out of my badge. Like, I just want to go home and lay down. Recovery was weird. So I had a very bloated belly for about a week and a half because they pump you full of gas so they can see everything inside.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
So what, you looked pregnant?
Yeah, 100%. So I don't know if you saw my story, like that second one I did. Yeah, so that was me like a few days after.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. And look, I felt a bit nauseated. Like, that's just, I have a very sensitive gut, and a lot of women with endometriosis can have IBS as well. It's kind of like, and in this book, How to Endo, and I'll go into the author of that in a little bit, but she was saying it's like a cousin or someone you see at the shops, and you're like, shit, you look like my mate. Do you know what I mean? Like, I did the drive out there, I like chat to this guy, and he's like, who the fuck are you? And, you know, it's very similar. So you get IBS symptoms, you know, upset stomach, you know, you might want to shit yourself after one coffee, and, you know, and then diet goes into it, and the GI tract and all that. But yeah, so I had very, very bloated belly, and I thought I'm recovering good. I took my bandages off and kind of freaked out, and you're looking at these scars thinking, what the fuck? And yeah, I got a bit emotional probably a few days after that, because you're at home and you think, okay, well, what happens now? Like, I got these scars all over me, and what does this mean? Okay. What does it mean? Am I going to be able to have kids? Like, I don't know. So you get the lab results back. So they take kind of, they take biopsies of it and send it away to a lab. So endometriosis is kind of, it's similar to the lining of the uterus, but it grows outside and attaches to other organs on your body.
So it's just like a deformity that grows kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's like if we have a lining of our uterus, which obviously sheds on day 28, so we have a period. Yeah. So that's the lining of the uterus. So it thickens, and kind of, as your hormones go up and down, it thickens and kind of goes smaller. But yeah, so it grows on other parts. So it can grow, you know, on the outside of your ovaries. It can grow on your bowel, on your bladder. It can come up into your lungs, and, like, you know, but it's not cancerous. And look, I'm going to stay in my lane here. Like, people can get cancer, develop cancer from
Yeah.
having endometriosis, but I don't know much about that. And,
But
fingers
it like
crossed.
spreads like cancer kind of thing.
Yeah, like it can grow, and then obviously it can be removed. So it can be removed two different ways. It can kind of be like lanced off, so like lasered off, or it can be cut out from the root. So I had that one, like it's called an excision.
Yeah.
And you meet your specialist, you spend $300, and they kind of just meet you, go, yep, stick two fingers in, touch something, ouch, okay, cool, we'll book you in for surgery. And you think, shit, I'm putting my life in this person's hands. I don't know if I like you. And she was this Russian lady. I won't name her, but she was very, up and down the line.
Yeah.
And I'm a bit of a sook, and I was like, is she gonna have good bedside manner? Like,
Those Russians have no emotions.
Yeah, I'm like, shit, son, you're gonna fucking put a tracker in me or something like that. But yeah, so I went back to see her probably about a week and a half later, and she explained to me, she showed me all these pictures, and I was like, she said I had endometriosis in my pouch of Douglas, which is kind of like towards the back of your body near your bowels. And she showed me a picture, and on the surface, because I was like, well, I don't know what I'm looking for. Like, you're the expert here, but I want to know what I'm looking for. It was kind of like this black little dot, and I can show you some pictures later. And she said that's, like a growth, like that dark colour, so they go off colours kind of thing. And they opened it up, and it was just full of kind of like these they're called chocolate cysts. Yeah, so that's like kind of like endometriosis forming in there. She said it was giving you pain. I thought, oh, great, awesome. So once I recover, I'm not going to have pain again. That was my assumption.
Yeah.
But it was wrong. So I still have pain. And I actually had a Mirena, so an IUD put in while I was asleep. So contraception. So it's like a little T thing that sits in your uterus and avoids you getting pregnant and releases hormones. And I was like, sweet, yeah, throw it in, cool. I just started dating my partner, and yeah, we're having sex, obviously. I'm like, throw it in, don't want babies, no babies, not up the bum either, so throw it in. And yeah, I started getting pain. So probably about a week after, I felt pretty good, went back to work, and then I started getting pain every day around midday. And I thought this was really odd, and it got worse and worse. And I left it for about a few weeks. I went back on that group, kind of searched for it, to ask, hey, look, did anyone get this pain? I had the IUD put in. I had really sore boobs. I was super hungry. I gained like a fair bit of weight in 2 months. I think I gained like 6 or 7 kilos pretty quickly.
It's like symptoms of pregnancy, isn't it? Sore boobs, gain weight.
Yeah, similar. So yeah, like hormonal type symptoms. But I was getting this pain, from midday onwards. And we decided to go up to Queensland, all COVID, and that was like that 1 week. So we're like, fuck it, let's go. Yeah. So we went there, our first holiday together, and on the first holiday, you just want to be eating, drinking, fucking sleeping, like that's swimming, jet skiing, whatever. And we couldn't really do that. So it got really bad, and I had the heat pack with me all the time. I was taking pretty hectic painkillers, like, Panadol Forte, and then that makes you not shit. And then in turn, I was, after the operation, the first poo was like, so I can't describe it, so painful. So painful, because it's all kind of connected down there, and you're just like, holy shit, I'm giving birth. And yeah, so I kind of left it. I thought I'll just stick it out. I kept calling the office of the specialist, and I said, I'm having this pain. I don't, is this normal? Like, they're meant to help you out. Oh, no, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. Oh, it's not fucking fine. And I was still drinking heavily. Anyway, I found out I had to go to a doctor up there. I was in agony, and he tested my urine. He said, you've got so much blood and pus in your urine. So I had like a full-on bladder infection at that point. I was in a lot of pain, taking all these painkillers, and we're on holiday, I think, just want to drink. I just want to have fun. And I thought, no, this is serious. I really can't drink and take these. So I stopped drinking. He was super great, Cameron. He's awesome. And he's just like, it's okay, not pressuring me to have sex or anything, which is good. Anyway, we looked into it, and we Googled, because he's an engineer, and my business is called Body Engineering by Bronte, because I'm like, I'm a fucking body engineer. Like, why not? Oh, I could be an engineer too. We looked up, when you have the IUD, does it release hormones at the same time every day? And it said, yes, it does, depending on when it was put in. I was like, I had my operation at midday, so that would make sense. And it would just develop on in the day. It got so bad, like I'd be on all fours. Someone would talk to me, and I couldn't even, I'd say stop talking, but couldn't even just talk back. Like the contractions of pain, like, you know, going into labor almost was
Like kind of paralyzed you a bit. You couldn't fucking do anything.
Oh, you didn't even feel sick. You didn't even have a chance to feel sick because it would take your breath away. Like, it was really strange. And then I just decided to kind of live with it. It was really weird. So I was, you know, smashing down Panadol Fort. I'd call the ambulance a few times at home. And I'd say, look, don't take me to hospital. This is what happened. And look, paramedics, some are nice if they know about it, but some are just like, you've got period pain. Like, get on with it. I'm like, no, I'm like, bro, I'm fucking dying. Like, this is how it ends. I think I'm actually dying.
You need some endo.
Oh, yeah, like, you know, that's stuff like that. I said, can you give me something? I just want to lay in my bed with my heat pack. I know it'll pass. You know, I'm going to the specialist, blah, blah, blah. I thought, don't take me to the hospital because I've, you know, from that group again, I've heard horror stories where, you know, doctors in there, you're waiting triage for 4 hours and they say, look, here's some Panadol. And Panadol is fuck all. Like, Panadol does nothing, not even for a migraine these days. So, yeah, it's not taken seriously enough. And that's what I was scared of. I was terrified. I was like, don't you dare take me to the hospital. I just want to be at home. I thought, no, so enough's enough. I need to go back to the specialist. At this point, I was taking tramadol, which was like spinning me out. I'd wake up and turn my alarm off for work and go back to sleep, but not remember it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and it would make me super nauseated and just yuck. It wasn't a good way to live. Like, you know, your quality of life is severely impacted. And I was working full time in a corporate job at the time with blokes. Like, I was a maintenance coordinator, so they understood I had an operation, but they really didn't. They were like, okay, you fixed now, what's the problem? Yeah. And I was like, I can't do a sick day. You know, I'd sit at work in my office in like almost calling an ambulance, just sitting there thinking, I just have to deal with this.
Shit.
But I thought, you know, something's not right. So I went to the specialist and I said, I think you need to take this out. I was like, well, how do we take this out? Because you put it in when I was asleep, so I'm fucking scared. Anyway, she's, you know, you get up on the thing, you put the stirrups up, you know, open your legs, and she kind of went looking for it. She said, I can't see it. And I said, well, it has to be there. So, like, keep fishing. She finally got the strings and pulled it out. It was a weird sensation, kind of like takes your breath away for a second because it's actually up past your cervix. And if you've never given birth, that's never been opened. Do you know what I mean? It's very small. And I bled like a mofo for like 2 weeks, but the pain instantly went away.
What a fucking experience.
Oh, it was fucked. But then, so I've developed as a person since then because, you know how I said, like, I stopped drinking. Do you know what I mean? I was on these heavy medications. So, and then I looked into, okay, well, does drinking flare it up? Does alcohol flare it up? Does preservatives flare it up? And I've read another book called In the Flow, which is awesome. And it's kind of like how to biohack around your cycle because, you know, obviously we have a 24-hour clock. So we have a 24-hour cycle and a 28-day cycle. And yeah, we looked into diet. So I tried not different diets, but just different types of foods depending on where I was in my cycle. So I started like kind of eating more raw vegan-y type veggies. And I noticed I'd get hot. So depending on my hormones in the luteal phase, which is just before you bleed, I get really hot and overheat. So I was like, okay, well, how do I get colder? And it said like, just literally just eat cooler food. So I ate salads and I was like, shit, son, I'm not as hot. You know, and just took it back to the drawing board. And I was like, this is cool. I think I could really help some other women with this. And that's, you know, I was qualified PT at the time, but I was still at my shit job, which I hated. So I left there, I jumped ship, and I was like, I'm going full-time to face-to-face. But yeah, so that's been the experience with that. And I thought, again, everything's sweet. It's sorted now. And I started getting pain again. Went back to the same specialist and she said, okay, well, off you need to go and do a colonoscopy, gastroscopy. So that's where they look up your bum and down your throat. So you get put to sleep. Yeah. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes you don't.
Oh,
you know,
imagine doing that when you're awake.
Oh no, I was like, knock me the fuck out, give me everything. You're like, I will not go. But you're on your side, you're like, this is an exit, not an entry. But she said, I think it might be IBS related. And I said, oh fuck, well, can you just, like, you want answers. You're like, just tell me what it is. Even if it's something, even if it's like, it's not a tumor, you know, like if it's a tumor, like tell me so I know what it is, how to fix it. But there's so many grey areas. So I looked into it more and there was kind of this article and it said like there's not a lot of research around it because a lot of research that was done with diet and exercise and things like that was based on males or, you know, menopausal women. I was like, oh shit. And then I looked up a bit more and it was true. And I was like, oh shit, there's really not much about this. So I went and did the colonoscopy, gastroscopy, and that was hell. That was really fucked. You have to drink this stupid drink, and it's like 2.5 liters of this mixed up drink. Tastes like cordial.
That fluoro kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it makes you shit your whole body out. Like you can't trust a fart.
Yeah.
And I thought, look, this is just my life now. This is just, whatever. Went and did that, and I remember you get wheeled into the room, you lay on your side, and they kind of like open your gown, and so your bum's already there, and you're like, can you buy me a drink first? Like, can you put me to sleep first? Like, so put the good shit in there before you go in my bum. And I woke up from that, felt fucked. Someone's like, they probably give you ketamine to put you to sleep. I was like, I don't know what that means, but I didn't like it. Because I woke up really quickly, and he came and saw me straight away, the specialist. He was rubbish. He was like, blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool, see ya. I thought, I don't understand what you just said to me. All I heard was lactose. And I went, okay, cool.
Just using big words?
Yeah, but like it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And like I'm not a big dummy. Like, I was like, okay, I get it, but
especially when you first wake up too, like you can't really process it all.
He's like, you don't have hemorrhoids. And I was like, okay, great. What else? I was like, that's great to know. But yeah, he mentioned something about lactose. So I tried to take kind of keywords, and that's what this book kind of talks about. And other girls have said, like, you need to go prepared to specialists, because some of them are just like black and white, and this shit's not black and white. Do you know what I mean? You need to go prepared. You need to take all your history, even log your kind of pain, your symptoms when you're getting it, and have your questions ready, because you'll leave usually, like you'll pay $300 for the specialist and you think, I don't know. I don't understand. I still don't get it. And you call back and they'll say, oh yeah, your next available appointment's fucking October or something. And you can't talk to them, and it's fucked. The GP knows fuck all. Like, they're just like, here, take the pill, have the IUD kind of thing, because that just masks the symptoms. It doesn't actually get to the root of the problem. So that was my experience with that. And, I went back, and that was fine with that pain. And I was still trying to figure it out. So I started going to a pelvic physio. So pelvic physio is like normal physio, but literally on the inside. Just a vagina physio. Yeah. It's wow. It's really interesting. So
I'm learning a lot today.
Yeah.
22 minutes in, I've learned a lot about
you're gonna leave. You're like, I've got a headache. Like the first day of my job, I can't fucking remember anything. But yeah, pelvic physio. Yeah, they're real. So they're for women with conditions like this, and also pre and postnatal women, because that has a lot to do with the pelvic floor.
The only thing I know is you can get that egg thing that you put in there.
Oh yeah,
that's the only thing I know about that.
You're
stuff.
Like, I know an egg, and it goes into there and it does something.
Yeah, I don't even know.
Yeah, like there's different tools you can use. So when I went to the pelvic physio, again, you kind of go there desperate. You think like, you're gonna fix me. I need you to help me. You go there and you're like on your knees, you're like, please tell me what's wrong with me and fix it today. But you can't. And it's a shit thing. Like I'm not as frustrated anymore as I used to be, because we're kind of getting to the root of it. But it started with pelvic physio. And I found that through that group. So it's not even my gynecologist told me about this. Gynecologist didn't tell me. Gastro specialist didn't mention it. GP didn't mention it. And I was like, why have you guys all neglected to fucking tell me this? Do you know what I mean?
There's no information about it by the sounds of it.
They just go, yeah, here, take the pill. And I've been on the pill, many times in life, and I actually went off it because I thought, this makes me a bit psycho and makes me feel like shit.
It kind of fucks you up. My partner stopped taking it because it fucked all her hormones and shit up. Yeah,
and I know a girl that ended up, she had like, she went to hospital and she had to go emergency. She was in there for weeks. And it was from the pill, like something to do with her heart and things like that. Like, it was fucked. But we figured out at the pelvic physio. So they do an internal examination, which they give you a fingering for $300.
So you love people being up in there. By the sounds.
I'm so used to it now. And look, I feel really sad, because in that group, and I get notifications every day about it. And it's the same questions over and over again. I think those people don't know how to use the search functionality, you know what I mean? And people get the shits, but it's like, okay, we've got to be used to this. If you want to help people, you've got to be used to repeated kind of stuff. It's kind of like a PT, do you know what I mean? You might think everyone, all your clients know what to do, but fuck, there's so many people out there that don't know the basic stuff that you've got to reteach. And yeah, poor girls in there, and they say, look, I'm going to the pelvic physio for the first time. What do I expect? I'm really nervous. And I'm like, shit, I'm an anxious person and I wasn't nervous. So I hate to imagine how you must be feeling. And they're like, what do I expect? What happens? I'm like, well, you get fingered for $300, but it doesn't feel pleasurable. And it kind of hurts, but you know, it's uncomfortable. But what they actually do is, yeah, they go in there and they can pretty much like make you fluff or make you piss, like pressing on your bladder.
Yeah.
It's fucking weird. And I don't need to fart all day, and I go there, and she goes in, and I'm like, I'm gonna fucking fart on your hand, like, please don't, like, all day. And then when I go there, I'm like, don't press that spot. It's like the G spot for farting.
What the fuck?
But yeah, so we went in there, and she felt around, and it was super sore, like on one side, and she said your pelvic floor is overactive, which is very common, because obviously we've got a lot of trauma around the pelvis area and a lot of pain. It kind of goes into overdrive. So our body's very smart. It tries to kind of protect ourselves. And so she said, all right, use this stim. So there's like TENS machines. Have you heard of TENS machine? Yeah. So this one's like an internal probe. So you were talking about the egg. Yeah. Similar. So it goes in there. It's like this. It looks like a fucking butt plug. Like, you know, not that I've used one, but you've seen them in the shop and you're like, what the fuck? And it kind of looks like that. It's just like a little kind of, like an egg kind of thing, but a bit longer. And it just sits in there, and it's got kind of pads on each side. So you turn it on, and they give you the programming, and it just feels like you've got pins and needles on the inside. So what it's actually doing is kind of telling the pelvic floor to chill out a bit.
Does it like stick to your inside, like, or it just sits in there?
It just sits in there. So you have to be like in a kind of comfortable position.
Yeah.
I accidentally tried to take it out midway, and it like burnt my skin. I was like, fuck. But then, I went back and I was like, son, it's not working. And she's like, have you been using it 3 times a week? I was like, no. It's like you go to the physio and they tell you what you need.
Do you stretches? Do you exercise?
You're like, yes, sweet. And then you go back and you're like, no, you're fucked. It's not, you don't know what you're doing. Like the same thing happens with me.
You've only done it once.
Yeah, literally. Goes to the gym once, fucking checks out booty gains. Like, you know what I mean? Something like that. And okay, so I was like, I need to do it more. So I thought, no, I can't stop here. I think I've got endometriosis on this, left ovary. I think something's wrong. Your body tells you. So I said, who do I go and see? Because I really like this pelvic physio. And she said, go and see this dude over in Randwick. He's like a professor. He's got professor in his name. I was like, he must be good. Like,
must be a smart dude.
Better take out a fucking mortgage. And yeah, he's a professor. So like, we're going to see him. So I called up all excited, and this was last November, and she said, all right, so any time of the day? I said, yep, whatever, like this is a priority. Next available appointment is August 2021. I was like, are you taking the piss? Fuck. Surely you take the piss. I was like, but I'm in pain. She's like, yeah, so is every other girl. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, okay, all right. So put him on the wait list, and I got bumped up to April, which was pretty cool. Went to see him, and Cameron, my partner, came with me. So he saw what goes on. So I got elevated and, got the fingers in their internal examination, and Cameron kind of looks around. He's like, can I have a go? I was like, are you fucking serious? And he's like me, just a bit of a dickhead. He says, I'll do it for free. He saved you $300. I was like, fuck off.
$300, that's cheap for a professor.
Yeah, I know.
It was going to be a house deposit.
Fuck, you'd want some pretty freaky shit for $300. But yeah, he pressed straight away on a nerve. Yeah. And he said, look, you've scored yourself an MRI. He said, I don't think it's the ovaries. And explained for females, we get, IBS, we get kind of trauma to hips and, muscles and nerves in there. And he said, our poor ovaries take the blame for a lot of things. And I was like, great. So what now? Because I said, look, like sex is painful for me. It feels like, at times, it feels like a, kind of like a toilet brusher, like scrubber. Like it's scratchy. Like it's
getting stabbed kind of thing? Or?
Not like a sharp pain, but almost like a toothbrush, like bristles. Yeah. Like scratchy. Yeah, it's just uncomfortable.
Like, really uncomfortable. Fucked up.
I'm like, fuck, we need to buy like 10 fucking gallons of lube. Do you know what I mean? Like it's it's very uncomfortable. And again, I went away, I researched that, asked other women, they're like, yes, fuck, I feel the same. I was like, what the fuck's going on? Like I didn't know all this stuff, and I thought I did even at the beginning. Now I know more. And it's like, then you want to know more. So I go very kind of prepared. I've got my loaded guns. When I go, I'm like, I fucking know this. I know this. Don't fucking put me on the pill. I know this. And yeah, so I've got to go and do this MRI. I'm yet to do it. But they said, all right, it goes for an hour. And I'm very claustrophobic. I thought, fuck, can you put me to sleep? Yep, but you got a bowel prep. I was like, oh, not this again, not this again. So I've yet to do that. But he said that he thinks it's a damaged nerve in my hip. And then I went away and researched it and asked, I think it's called pudental neuralgia, something neuralgia. And I was like, okay, so, you Google, you go to that first website and it tells you.
You end up down the rabbit hole then.
Yeah, you're like, I'm going to die. Do you have a headache with this? You're going to fucking die. And I asked other girls and, they had it in that group. And I thought, okay, this is going to really zero down. Like, how did you go in the MRI? This girl's like, yeah, cool, it was fine. I was like, well, I'm claustrophobic, so what do I do? So that was kind of interesting to go down that rabbit hole. But I said, like, do you guys get pain with sex? Like, all of that. And, if you obviously like orgasm, like everything tenses up. So for me, something that's pleasurable, I really am scared of because it gives me a lot of pain afterwards. And I have to kind of take Panaine for it to chill it out. Not every time, but it's like a gamble. You never know. Yeah. And then I stress out because I was with someone who was quite horrible before my partner who made me feel very unworthy. So now with my partner now, I get points where I'm like, I'm not worthy of you. Like, and I can't give you what you want. And, you freak out. You like someone, you think, I don't want you to run off to someone else who's, gonna bonk you every day. Yeah. Because I can't. And it's hard. It fucks with your head a lot, like this condition. So that's where I'm at with this. Pelvic physio, internal probe, lots of painkillers, heat pack. My period's very regular though, like my cycle's very regular, which is good. Because you talk about polycystic ovary syndrome, which is like irregular periods. And there's girls out there that say, oh, if you've got one, you've got the other, but not necessarily. So do you know what I mean? Like it's a very great kind of area. So it's like, well, what the fuck do I have? I've got pain. What do I have? Am I going to die? So that's where I'm up to.
Fuck, man. The female body is...
It's fucked, hey?
Fucked and very complicated.
It's really, really complicated.
So... Are you kind of born with these kind of, like, are you born with it or does it develop?
So it develops, as far as I'm concerned, it can develop as long as you're menstruating. Yeah. So it obviously comes, from the uterus. But then I've read that, and it's like anything. It's like, saying red meat's good for you or red meat's bad for you and it gives you cancer. There's always conflicting kind of
Who
research.
fucking knows what to eat these days?
It's like, fuck, do I eat anything? Oh, but if you don't eat enough, you're going to fucking die. It's like, okay, well, I'll eat everything. You're going to die. So yeah, as long as you're menstruating, I'm pretty sure that's, how it develops. And it can come back, it can grow back kind of. So it's like a non-cancerous growth, if that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. And apparently people are saying if you have a baby, it can make it better. Yeah. But not completely eliminate it because after you have a baby, even while you're breastfeeding, so I actually found this out from a friend, but I thought as soon as you had a baby, you just go back to having your period, but you don't. So while you're breastfeeding, you don't actually menstruate. Okay. And my friend found out because she fell pregnant again. Yeah. She's like, sweet, I can, I can root every day because I'm not getting my period, but she was actually 20 weeks pregnant. Oh, shit. Because she was still breastfeeding. Oh. So the babies are very similar in age. Oh, fuck. Yeah, so you obviously go back to menstruate after that. Yeah. Yeah, and then it can grow back. But then I've heard that it made it worse for some women. So I was like, fuck. And it can impact your fertility depending on where it's growing. I've been told by 2 specialists that mine's fine. Fingers crossed. Yeah. Because I want to have kids, but you don't know. Do you know what I mean? You never know. Fucking hell. I know.
You got me out. What was it called? Pouch. Where was it?
Oh, the Pouch of Douglas.
What the fuck? Where did they come up with these names?
I know. I'm like, who the fuck's Douglas? Why Douglas? Why not fucking Mark or Sam? Like, why Douglas?
Must have been the name.
It's like a jackhammer. It's like, why Jack? Yeah. Yeah, that was really, really strange. But yeah.
Yeah, I've been sitting on that for the last 10 minutes. What the fuck?
I'll show you a picture. I remember when she showed me and I was like, ugh. And I have a pretty strong stomach. So hopefully you do.
Oh, here we go.
But yeah, I was cooked after hospital. I was in a bit of a way.
Fuck me. Some of these names. You've got me lost a few times.
Fucking Douglas. What's Douglas got to do with this? No one fucking invited you.
It's probably the name of the doctor who discovered or something.
So like that was me probably a week after. So I have a scar there. I have one in my belly button, which is pretty cool. So you can't really see it. But I was like, no, I'm gonna rock these scars. Like,
it's part of your journey.
And then there's one like right. They try and hide it.
Yeah.
That's a picture of me with my IUD. I kept it in the jar. I said to Cameron, "We're fucked. We're like, those couples that are just they're cool, but they're like a bit weird.
They're fucking weird."
The other day, I was like, "I need to open it and smell it." He's like, "Fuck no," because apparently that's one of like the worst smells I've heard from a doctor. Like,
oh really?
Either like a tampon that's been in there for too long.
Yeah, because everything just sits there and kind of congeals or whatever.
Yeah, like that kind of blood in there's like, I gotta find this picture.
God, this podcast is very disgusting, isn't it?
Yeah, there we go. So this is kind of my journey. That's me waking up. It was my first shit. First shit post-surgery. There's one of the scars. That's from the needle. So this is what I was talking about. So this is the pouch Douglas in here. So see how it's all black? Like it's dark in colour, which means it's kind of like a shadow. You put something behind so you know someone or something's there. And then they opened it up, so all these kind of things.
What the hell?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool, but fucked up at the same time.
It's fucking gross, eh? I'm like, why is it black? Does that mean I've been smoking? You think, is that my lungs?
Oh, God.
So it's crazy how much they know, like specialists know, but I feel like with any service, you've got to have an element of empathy.
Yeah.
If you're not empathetic, it's like, fuck off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, because this stuff's scary. Like, and there's so much more to find out about it.
Yeah,
like, and that's why.
Did you post that on your social media?
Yeah, fucking
okay. All the listeners, if you want to look at that, head over to Instagram and check it all out.
Yeah, go for it. Sit down with a cup of tea, a few biscuits.
Oh, you'll be spewing those up pretty quick.
read my life story.
All right. Well, I do have a few. Do you want to jump into this book? Actually, let's do a book review.
So I haven't finished it, but this is called How to Endo. So it's by Bridget. How would you say that?
Huswat. Oh my God.
Huswait,
whatever.
So she actually works for Triple J. Like she's a radio presenter, I'm pretty sure. And I just, you go on social media, you want to find people you relate to or you like to see. So I've got heaps of endo accounts from all over the world, which is some of the stuff I'm like, I feel so sorry for you. And then some stuff you're like, you've been a bit dramatic. But this book is really good. So it's, how to endo. So how to kind of survive, how to go through the diagnosis, what to do when you're not sure, and how to kind of support someone who's got it. Yeah. Because it can be real fucked. Like, I remember after my operation, I was waking up in the night. I couldn't sleep on my side or my stomach for ages. But for me, the recovery of that was it was worse than doing a colonoscopy. That doesn't make sense, but that was just fucked. Like the process of not eating for 2 days for me was like, and then it can go into your diet, and if you've got polycystic ovary syndrome, it's very directly linked to like diabetes, type 2 diabetes, insulin resistance. So obviously your diet impacts it a lot. And I stress this with my clients a lot. I meet young girls and they say, I haven't had a period in a while, and so where is it? Like. Did you leave it somewhere? And I said, well, and I ask them more and more questions. Like we go full kind of Tony Robbins on them, and it's like, and they go, I just want to get rid of this, lower stomach. That's the biggest kind of goal.
Every woman hates that.
Oh, and I say, that actually is your evolution. And they're like, what do you mean? I said, this lower body, like this lower part of your stomach holds more fat there, because when you become pregnant, if you're under threat, so it goes back to, kind of caveman days. Yeah. If you're under threat, your body is going to use that stored fat to look after yourself and the baby. So that's why we have that little pouch down there.
Oh, interesting.
I know. So that's what I tell girls. I'm like, but who's telling you to get rid of it? Like, and like, oh, no one. I want it. And I said, yeah, but why? Like, and it's genetics as well. For me, like, I can wake up in the morning and I have a flat stomach, but by 8 a.m., I will look 6
you just bloat, like,
100%.
Fluctuate throughout the day, yeah.
But, like pain during after sex, pain during bowel movements, fatigue, like it's all related.
So
it's fucked.
That's like the blueprint endo, basically.
Oh, if if you wanted to know anything about this and like have it kind of dumbed down, a guy or a girl, this would be the book.
That's awesome.
This would be. Oh, I was like so happy. I was like, why didn't I think of this?
And do they sell it just at the bookstore, or do you have to buy that online?
I bought this at Big W.
Okay,
I know,
that's good.
random, but you wouldn't go to Big W first for a book, but
No.
some people might. But you know, what food should we avoid? This one and In the Flow, I'd say is pretty good, because In the Flow, and this more goes into kind of diet and exercise, because there's been research that shows that high intensity exercise, so kind of like, I'm not going to say it F45, you know, but those high intensity cardio workouts are not great for a female at all phases of the month. So they're really good, you know, in the first half of the month, so kind of like your follicle stage. So that's your first, so you bleed and then you start again. It's like a fresh month.
Yeah.
So we've got this notion that, and it's still around, that our period actually starts when we start bleeding, but it actually restarts when we finish bleeding. So that's like the end.
Okay.
It makes sense, but it's like still in, you know, wiki pages and stuff.
Yeah.
That
I thought it was just when it bleeds.
Yeah, you're like, oh, we start again.
Yeah.
No, it's kind of like a whole preparation for the month, and then you bleed out, and your hormones do weird things during that time. So it's up and down. For a guy, it's kind of stable. So obviously we both have estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. Women with PCOS apparently have more testosterone, so they're pretty good in the gym, like with weights and stuff. So their biomaker's a little bit different. Do you know what I mean? And they don't menstruate properly, and they can get like facial hair, so you know, like a guy kind of thing. And they're not like the soy boy. They're not fucking drinking. Have you heard about the soy boy?
No.
Oh, so like there's all this thing behind like soy milk and soy, so it's not great for.
Oh yeah, because it has all estrogen and
yeah,
shit.
yeah. So there's this thing about the soy boy that like he has, you know, boobs and stuff, and he's a bit feminine. So yeah, I'm like, fuck, I don't want to have soy milk. And you know, like I said, you don't know what's good for you these days and what's not good for you. Do you know what I mean? It's like, well, should I drink soy milk? Should I drink milk at all? Like,
and then you got that almond milk. Have you looked at it? It's about 2% almonds. It's like, what the fuck's the rest of it?
I like almond milk sometimes. I don't have milk often at all, but I'll like have a splash of my oats.
Yeah.
So it's not just water, because it doesn't. I don't think it has lactose in it. But don't quote me on that.
Oh, well, wouldn't have a clue.
So that was something I took when I woke up from that gastroscopy. So they put the camera down here because I feel sick often, and like, so I follow this guy on Instagram, Jake. His last name starts with D, but don't quote me on it. I'll have to send it to you later. Jake D, someone, and he's a coach, but he does like a lot of blood work.
Yeah.
So he's awesome. He's so good, and he talks about the gut, and all our guts are fucked, and especially girls. And then there's girls, you know, already fucking up their hormones with this high intensity exercise, you know, staying up late, meeting deadlines, you know, doing the rat race, and then they're not resting, you know, either before their period or during their period. And they're just putting their body under so much stress. And then they're, on top of that, you know, possibly going out and drinking, you know, taking recreational drugs. And then like, they just want that quick fix. And they kind of come and see me and they're like, oh, what supplements do I need to take?
Fucking supplements.
I'm like, do you sleep? Oh, yeah. Okay, well, what about on the weekend? You know, are you having a fucking 3-day bender? Because like, that's not great for your hormones.
Yeah.
And it's just little things like, for example, coffee. There was research behind having coffee on an empty stomach versus having it with food. And I asked some girls, I said, look, can you just do something for me, experiment, start having food with your coffee? And they said, oh, okay. And they said, fuck, I feel heaps better. I don't get the shakes. I don't, you know, get all of this. And because there's a link, like, you know, between kind of having caffeine and, you know, for example, cocaine. Like it's very similar. It makes you want to shit yourself, you know, suppress the appetite.
Especially on an empty stomach, it just hit you straight
away.
away.
100%. It's very similar. So obviously that's why we drink coffee. But people drink coffee. If they're not doing coke, they're fucking drinking coffee or doing both. But yeah, like that's what I say to them. I'm like, are you eating enough food? What kind of foods are you eating? Like it's just, there's so much to go through. And some girls are interested, which is great. And they want to, you know, really look after themselves, and it's getting more popular now, I guess, to kind of be a bit more holistic with your diet. And, you know, I feel like it's more popular now, probably in the last kind of few months and since COVID, to not drink as much. Do you feel that as well?
Yeah, but then you got some people who just sit at home and drink by themselves.
Yeah, and that's scary.
You can go either way, really.
Yeah, well, where we live next to Shark Park in like a massive kind of complex. And I've
Is it that new complexes that they built?
Yeah, so that's where we live. And super convenient, lovely place. But I've called the police twice because 2 people have been by themselves off their face.
Yeah.
I don't know what on, like in the middle of the day as well, in the pool and like the sauna. And I'm thinking,
Sauna,
what the
bro.
fuck?
That'll fucking kill you.
I'm like, easy, like you're gonna fucking die in the sauna. Like, and it's really sad. It's like, how did you get here? Who are you? Like, what do you do? What are you about? Like,
Yeah.
you know, how did you get to this state by yourself? But yeah, I just touching back on bowel stuff, so like GI stuff. I actually had a girl come in and we had a consult for PT, and you know, asked about a diet. And I said, look, I asked questions. Do you think you eat too much? And because it gets people thinking, you know, they're like, oh fuck, maybe you, or I'd like to do this. I said, look, I don't want to know what you'd like to do. I want to know what you are doing.
Yeah. Because
we need to make some changes. And this girl said it was really sad. She was all of 16, really pretty girl, maybe a little bit nerdy, but really nice.
Yeah.
And she said, oh, no, I won't tell you. And I said, no, what is it if you're comfortable? And people open up because I feel like I'm approachable and very empathetic, and that's what I love doing what I do. And she said, I used to kind of throw up my food, and I said, okay. I said, was it every meal? Like, you know, why are we doing this? And I was like, oh, fuck, like this is real, like it happens. You know, as I'm a bit older, I'm nearly 28. You think, oh yeah, bulimia, kind of in the early 2000s, you know, whatever. Yeah. But I was like, how did you find out about that? How did you know how to do that or why to do that? And she saw it on fucking TikTok. And I got really angry after my colonoscopy because that for me, I felt like that was more traumatic for me to go through that experience. And, you know, people might think, oh, well, you know, fuck, that's trivial. You're just emptying your bowels and you look shredded as fuck and then get a camera up your bum, like what's fucking new?
That's a good time.
Yeah, for some girls, that's like fucking, that's every weekend. But it was traumatic for me because I was looking for answers. Yeah. And because I'd already been in hospital a few months prior. Do you know what I mean? And I was trying to heal my gut so I could try and better my experience with endometriosis. Do you know what I mean? I was like coming back to the source of the problem. And, you know, when you go to hospital and you get put under, they fucks your gut up, like having, you know, anesthetic and stuff and all that junk they pump through you. So I really didn't like that experience. Like it made me more emotionally, I was emotionally impacted from that. I was upset. Anyway, I saw on Instagram a few days later, I was at home and this girl that's super popular for like YouTube makeup, and she was promoting her detox cleanse she was doing, and she was going to get like a bowel cleanse done. So that's a thing, like and people go and do it, and you can do it at like a kind of beautician-y type place. I'm like, are these people fucking qualified? Sounds like
what is
downtown fucking Bangkok, like, you know, like really strange. So I looked into it. Again, I looked into it and I was like, if I'm going to talk about this, I want to, you know what I'm talking about. And so this girl actually sparked this kind of information. She said, I found on TikTok how to take laxatives. And I was like, but why would you want to do that? Like, I remember when I was a kid and I couldn't shit, and my mum would say, eat these chocolate squares, and they like the worms on the front, and you're like, no, that tastes like shit. This is not real chocolate. I've been stitched up. And you hated it. You know, you think, fuck, I don't want to shit myself. But I said, I asked her, you know, I kind of probed her. Like I said, went all Tony Robbins on her. Why did you do this? How did it make you feel? So when I'm saying, like, I'm not just a PT, I'm like full on life counsellor. But you got to be empathetic. And she said, yeah, I didn't feel like I was good enough for the girls, like the girls I see on Instagram and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is fucked. This is actually fucked up.
That's why social media is fucked.
Oh, it's so bad.
It's good when used correctly, but these days teenagers are comparing themselves to everyone else and fucking up their body image and confidence.
But it's not just the image and their head. It's their health as well. And I said to her, look, when you do something like a colon cleanse or like a colonoscopy, I said the amount of like electrolytes and minerals you're taking out of your body that you essentially need is bad. Like it's not good for you. It's not good long term, just so you can look less bloated for a few days.
And it fucks like your gut linings and stuff
100%,
like that.
100%. And I said, look, and that's why I say to people, if they come to me like this, if they go, oh, what do you fucking know? I'm like, I've done a colonoscopy. And it's
you can
shit.
just get
It's
your list
literally
out.
shit.
Get your list out. I've done this.
Oh, fucking, yeah. Get the filing cabinet out. Yeah, it's not a nice experience. I said, look, there's people out there with colon and bowel cancer, and while they're important to do those tests, they're really not a good time. Like, it's really uncomfortable for people. They do it on the reg kind of thing, like a couple of times a year for cancerous purposes, and you guys are doing this because you want to fucking be less bloated.
Yeah.
Like, come on. I'm like, but they say, oh, well, because I'm bloated. So this girl that I followed and she was promoting this, I got on my Instagram and I got the shit. So I was like, listen up, motherfuckers, we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Because we need to address this shit. I said, look, I like this person. I like following them for their makeup. But stay in your fucking lane. You have a huge following of girls that are highly influenced, do you know what I mean, by people like you, because you're good at makeup, you're good at, your clothing, your outfits. But now you're promoting a fucking colon cleanse. And so girls are going to see that and they're like, you look awesome, you have a flat stomach. I want to do that now. And they might go to the wrong people. 9 times out of 10, they're going to go to the wrong people.
Yep.
They're going to do the wrong thing. Or, they're going to take the disco dust and not eat all weekend. And then they eat heaps during the week to kind of make up for it because their body, is hungry. It's like we have a coffee and then afterwards we're starving. We need to feed our body. And then they go, fuck, I'm fat, I'm bloated. And, it fucks with your head, fucks with your body. And, so that's kind of what I promote, like, with my work. Like, I say this is so important. You've got to look after your body and find out why you're bloated. Like, you're bloated, but that's not normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not normal to have period pain like this. It's not normal to be super bloated and things like that. So you've got to investigate. And then people want to cut corners. They go, oh, it's specialist is expensive. Yes, fucking oath it is. But come on, like, are you really having a good time now?
Yeah.
No.
The thing is, a lot of it can be, I guess, managed with diet. Is that correct?
100%.
Yeah.
And you've just got to take it back to the really simple things. Like, this is what I say to all my clients, face-to-face or online. I ask them how their sleep is. How much water are you drinking in the day? What's your diet like? Does the diet make you feel good? And they're like, oh, but I'm not in a calorie deficit. Okay, fine, but we can sort that out later. We can always make a calorie deficit for your goal or a surplus or maintenance, whatever. But what are you actually eating? Is it making you feel good, or do you feel sick? It's like, all these memes we see online. Oh, if I have me having a coffee or a milkshake and then, then kind of going to shit themselves in the bathroom. It's like, yeah, it's funny, but like, that's not good.
No.
That's not good. Like, it impacts your quality of life and people think it's normal. And it kind of relates back to this endo that people think period pain is normal. They think taking the pill is normal, but we shouldn't be taking the pill. Do you know what I mean? And if you're menstruating, like your cycles very in sync and kind of very regular every 28 days, we ovulate in the middle. So obviously that's the time when, you say to, your boyfriend, come here, like,
Yep.
let's fucking into the shaggin' wagon. But if you have a regular cycle, you can't fall pregnant every day of the year. And girls, especially young girls, don't know that. All you're taught in sex ed is like, here's a banana, here's how to put a condom on. And if you don't put one of them on, you're going to get pregnant. But it's like...
To be honest, that's what I thought too.
Yeah, 100%. And, that's why we take the pill. A lot of girls take the pill because they're sexually active. And look, fine. Samantha Sex City, you want to go fuck everyone? Fine. That's your prerogative. Like, sex should be enjoyable. And it shouldn't have these consequences of, oh, well, I'm going to potentially fuck up my health and have sore boobs and be a bit psycho and be labelled this psycho because I've got my period or on that pill. We can actually just not have hormonal contraception at all. Like, you don't actually need to take it.
So how do you track your...
Well, I have an app.
Hey.
I have an app, and it's quite good. So this one's called Flow, and I think it might be connected to that book in the Flow. Okay. There's heaps of different apps, or you can literally just, if you're a bit old school, and pop it in. So I popped in my first cycle when I, opened the app and asked you all your questions about your health and all that. So you've got kind of the red section here is when your period is. A few days in between here, and this is not completely accurate. Everyone's different. You've got your first phase, so if you're follicular stage, so you're kind of having a fresh start. And this impacts our emotions, also our ability to try new things or like be social. It's really fucking cool. Because I've actually experimented this with my face-to-face clients, and I introduced new exercises during a certain time. And I had girls, like, literally one of them cried and said, I can't fucking do this. And she was so frustrated. And I said, I know, because you're in your luteal phase. And I know where everyone is in their phases more than they do. I'm like, you ovulating? They're like, I don't know, you fucking tell me. I'm like, look, fucking wrap up because you're going to fall pregnant.
Yeah.
So then you go into ovulation in here, and this is when kind of hormones peak and, you know, you feel good, you're quite happy. You can actually go pretty hard with high intensity exercise, or it's advised.
And is that the only time you can kind of fall pregnant, or?
Look, they say kind of sperm can live, you know, in a girl for, I think, up to a few days. I don't know. But kind of each side of this, you don't want to be doing it without wrapping up. You know, you don't want to be bareback and during that time. So after this is called the luteal phase. So this is kind of like the preparing stage. This is when girls have those PMS type symptoms. So they get a bit angry, they get a bit cranky, don't fucking touch me. You know, and I get like that and I hate it. I honestly hate it. We can have hormone imbalances, and that's like a whole nother kind of chapter as well. So girls do have hormone imbalances. So you can go on medication for that. But again, just go back to diet. Go back to diet and exercise, try and improve it. In this time, you're preparing, your body's kind of preparing. It's like, okay, are we looking for a sperm to get in the egg? Like, is it happening? If it's not, we get really hot, we're really shitty, and then we get our period.
Okay.
And then it comes out. It's like, okay, there's no egg and sperm being connected and a baby being formed. We get rid of it, start again.
Interesting.
Yep. So this just goes through, and for me, this is so accurate.
Yeah.
So it's 28 days. Some girls will have a longer cycle or a shorter cycle, but outside of kind of those 27 to say 29 days is pretty regular. So if you're, like I said, I have my period 3 times in a month, that's totally irregular.
Yeah.
Or some girls can go 35 days without having it. So I actually got asked this question, and there's a notion around between girls having this conversation. Oh, don't stress if your period's late because then it'll be later. You know, just relax and it'll come. And, you know, I remember back in school, you're like, okay, you know, oh my God, I had sex with this guy, like, but we used a condom. Am I pregnant? I don't know. I'm a day late, half a day late, whatever. But it doesn't work like that. So looking into that book in the flow, if you change your exercise and diet, you won't actually see implications until probably a good kind of 2 or 3 months later.
Yep.
So how your period is when you have it is due to kind of impacts from stress, diet, exercise, sleep, you know, medication from a few months prior. So when I had that period 3 times a month, I was like, okay, well, this is not what's happening now. It's, you know, a bit of summer of Bronte partying I had a few months prior. So, you know, when girls say, oh, don't stress, it's like, it's too fucking late now.
Yeah.
So if I have a girl that'll say to me, look, I want to get my period back. Can you help me? But I want to go in the gym and I don't know what I'm doing and blah, blah, blah. I say to them, look, you kind of have to lock in for at least 3 months. Like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, it doesn't happen overnight. And there's programs out there for girls who have actually lost their period. And you can lose your period for different things.
Yeah.
There's this notion around kind of bodybuilders and, you know, physique competitors that do lose their period. That is usually only because it's because our body's under stress from something. So it shuts that system down completely. And it could be stress from, you know, kind of adrenal fatigue, which is really hard to diagnose, but obviously just the rat race to the extreme. We're super fatigued. It could be illnesses, medication, diet, exercise. So we're not eating enough. And that's usually what happens. So if you take a girl, as far as I'm concerned and know, that if you take a girl from really overweight and obese and you put them in a comp prep, in a space of 12 weeks, you're going to do a lot of work in that time. And it's really going to fuck them up.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look, I've been approached in the past. I had an online coach and I wasn't obese, but I was overweight at the time. I said, cool, help me, you know, chicken and rice, broccoli, 90 sets of every exercise. Sweet. I was like, this is fucking shit. And the second weekend he said, oh, have you thought about competing? I thought, are you fucking for real? Like, I'm 80 kilos and, you know, 162 centimeters. I'm not in a state to compete. And I'm actually so happy that I stopped there and said no, because I could have said yes. And I did think about it.
Yeah.
And I know it's because he wanted a transformation of me in my bra and underwear for his Instagram for marketing purposes. And he didn't really care how it was going to impact me. And that's what's fucked about it. Do you know what I mean? I would have lost my period guaranteed. Because my body would have been under so much stress in a deficit to not function.
Yeah.
And
Or just to get photos.
100%. And that's what happens. And look, I'm all for people competing. a great achievement, but it's all about structural balance when you're up on that stage. It shouldn't be about absolutely trying to flog yourself from A to B if you're not going to look after your body along the way.
Yeah, it's a massive achievement, but yeah, it fucks your body up. And especially
100%.
then when you rebound, it fucks you even more.
Yeah.
And you're fluctuating up and down.
100%. And, there's all obviously kind of more side stories into reverse dieting and things like that. And girls need serious and special consideration when going into that stuff. Like I said, I get girls, I want to get rid of the lower belly. I want to tone up, but I don't want to do too many weights. Like there's still all these notions out there, and it's like, that's incorrect. You should just, love yourself along the way and do it because you enjoy it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that you're looking after yourself.
Yeah. So like anything in life, just do it because you love it, really.
100%. I say to people, I'm like, the gym's not for everyone 6 days a week. They're like, how many times do I need to be in here? I say, well, what do you like to do outside of here? Oh, I like to bike ride. Cool. And I actually did a funny video on my business Instagram of like a consult. I was like, hey, like, are you a trainer? Yeah, bro, I'm a trainer. What do you need? Oh, I want to, lose weight. I want to know how to use all the machines. That's another popular one. I'm like, you don't need all the fucking machines. You don't need to use all of them, but people think they do. And I said, yeah, look, you're going to need to be in here 14 times a week and, chicken, broccoli and rice. And I said, oh, but I like golf and bike riding. Oh, you can't bike ride. Because you'll probably, and this happens, if you put someone on a diet and you put them in there, 6-7 times a week, you will be that tired from your energy expenditure versus what you're taking in that you won't be able to go for a bike ride.
No.
You literally see some people that have comp prepped like hardcore and they can't talk with their hands because they have no energy.
Yeah. Shit.
I'm like, I love talking with my hands. And then they rely on stimulants, obviously, caffeine, drugs. Fuck, I help a friend who does, hair and tan for comp prep makeup stuff. And they didn't used to, but yeah, some people, get on the wines like the morning off and other shit. And I'm like, I don't remember this is what that like it was about. Like, I don't think this is what it's about.
No.
It's not about this.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just everything in a nutshell, everything fucks with your hormones, especially for a girl, obviously for a guy as well. For a guy, and look, I'm looking more into it because I'd like to know more, but I've had guys that I've kind of spoken to that, their libido's impacted kind of thing. That's a big one, depending on diet and exercise and things like that. And it happens to girls as well. So I have girls that go, look, I love my partner, or look, I like going out and picking up, but I don't really want to have sex. And that can happen. Do you know what I mean? It depends on your hormones. So
does that come from being overweight as well? I've read that being overweight impacts it.
Yeah, it can. And I think there's a psychological element as well that comes into it for girls and guys. Look, for example, my ex, and that was horrible. I was kind of in the mood and he was severely depressed. So he didn't really want to do it. He didn't feel confident. There's also guys, and this is a lot of information, but there's also guys that can, get hard and have sex, but they can't actually ejaculate because they don't feel comfortable. Oh. Or there's, impacts of insecurities and stuff. And I was like, that's fucking weird, but interesting. And that sucks for a guy, imagine having blue balls for months.
How long would the sex be?
Oh, for ages.
Until he got bored and just faked it.
Well, yeah, that can happen. Or, some guys can just say, look, wrap it up. For a girl, after a period of time, you'd probably just dry up, really. And then it's uncomfortable for the girl.
Yeah, it just gets boring.
Yeah. And, you can get this thing that I said earlier, vaginismus. So that's when, that I know of, the front of the opening of the vagina, everything tenses up and you literally can't get in, not even a finger. And that can be from trauma. It could be from, drying up, things like that. Yeah. I've experienced it myself. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And yeah, it's awkward. It's weird. And I'm in a relationship, loving relationship. I feel for girls that have these symptoms that are single. Imagine being in a situation and you're just like, I'm in pain, or and some people that are uneducated think, fuck, what's wrong with you?
Yeah,
it's hard. It's scary. There's a lot more to go through it, but yeah, that's my part.
Well, this podcast has been interesting. Do you have any more wild stories you want to share, or
about endo, or anything?
What?
Actually, I will share a story, and this is super important. So, look, I used to, dabble a bit in partying just over a year ago, And I remember I was out one night and did a lot of the disco dust. I was drinking a lot, and I had to be somewhere in the morning. And I thought, all right, make a decision. 9 p.m. Around that time, you're like, nothing good happens after 1. That's my saying now. But at the time, I still knew it was the saying. But I was like, what am I committing to? Am I doing an all-nighter? I thought, fuck it, I'm doing an all-nighter. And anyway, I went in the morning and did what I need to do and hadn't slept. And I looked into this and it all makes sense, relating to the endo and the GI tract. But I wasn't feeling great, not necessarily sick, but yeah, I went to fart and I shit myself. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? I'm not sick, and like people that go and party every weekend and they're like, I'm not sick. But it's like, you are fucking so sick. Your body is so sick and under so much stress.
Yeah, full of all those toxins.
100%. As I was saying, kind of like the coffee, there is a word for it. I don't remember, but I shit myself. And I was like, this is my rock bottom, I think. I was like, I should probably start eating some more food and chilling out. And it was good because I didn't do a lot of all-nighters. Like I'm pretty smart to kind of know to look after my body. And that's, after that, probably about a month after that is when I got the period 3 times in the month. So it's crazy how much that could have possibly impacted that. And then I got locked out for 4 hours. When I got home, it was fucked. That Sunday was fucked. I was like, this is, when like everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, this is rock bottom. And like, I don't know if it's the same for a guy, but every time I'd party like that, I'd get very emotional and I'd really kind of reflect back on my life and decisions and get all upset. And it was bad. It was really bad.
Yeah. The times I've been drunk, I'm usually just sick and then I just go to bed. Yeah.
And like I have probably 2 or 3 drinks now and I'll feel really sick in my stomach the next day. Not a headache. Like, and I can drink. I'm a Queenslander, so I can fucking drink.
I'm a fucking lightweight. I rarely
You're
drink.
You're a cheap drunk.
Yeah.
No, I can drink a bit. Like, I'd drink a whole bottle of wine before even going out, and that's like 7 drinks in there.
Shit.
Yeah, and then I'll just buy vodka on the rocks. Like, the German in me would come out. I'd be like, start speaking fucking German. But yeah, no, I obviously introduced other things because everyone else was doing it, and I was pissed off at my ex at the time, so I was like, fuck it, you had fun and, you left me at home so many nights, so I'm just going to let loose and get out of control, get in a state where I'm not in control.
And really destroying yourself.
And then I'm like, well, now I have to shit myself. So now I'm going to be back in control and, change and do a costume change and rethink my life choices. But, looking into it so much more after that and how much it impacts, your health and as a female, like your hormones, like something like PCOS can actually be developed. So that can be developed. Other things like Hashimoto's. So I don't know if you've heard of that before. So it's a hyperthyroidism kind of disease. So obviously we have our thyroid, which lives in here, and all your hormones kind of live there. So there's females with Hashimoto's. I think guys can get it too. I'm not sure, but I have a relative that has Hashimoto's, and they feel sick all the time. They're on medication and things like that can be managed with diet and exercise. But again, that can be developed and that's fucking scary. Like there'll be a lot of kind of girls walking around and it can impact your weight gain, weight loss, things like that. That can be developed from kind of big nights and a lot of adrenal fatigue, I guess. And a lot of adrenal fatigue comes from obviously neglecting our health. Yep. So I don't want to go down that path again.
No.
I have 3 drinks. I'm like, panic. I've got it. I'm driving home. Like, do you know what I mean? Because it's not for me that it's a control thing. It's because I put my health first.
Yeah. You don't want to go through that pain and it's not worth it.
And I know that there are kind of researching around if alcohol, like certain types of alcohol and preservatives can flare up inflammation in endometriosis, and it can apparently. I have a girlfriend, she's 42, she has endo pretty bad. So there's actually stages of it. I should have mentioned that, but there's 1, 2, 3 or 4.
Okay.
So I've got 2, which is pretty mild, but enough to pull out if we need to.
Yep.
So I'll possibly have to have another operation again.
Just to pull it all out?
Yeah.
So how
it can grow
big
back.
will it be, or is it?
It depends. It'll just kind of, I'll get pain again. Usually a few years, could be 5 years, could be 10 years, could be 2 years. I don't know. But I have a girlfriend. She's done it twice already. She's 42, doesn't want to have kids. So she can have a hysterectomy. So obviously where they take the whole uterus out. But apparently it can still and I'm just like, oh, I feel so sorry for her. And she drinks a lot. She lives at home by herself in Canberra, 3 cats. And love her, but she drinks a lot. And I say to her all the time, try some Pilates, like some pelvic floor stuff. Explore all these kind of more holistic things, because I think the wine's really killing her.
Yeah.
and people don't know, girls don't know about that it impacts that. They just think, well, sweet, I'll just cover it with the pill, or I'll cover it with the heat pack and painkillers and all of that. But we need to look after ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. And it's awesome that you're out here on our social media and sharing it, and getting information out there. Cause
I'm like, stop fucking, get off the disco dust, go the fuck to bed. Have a meal, have a high protein meal. Yeah.
Because by the sounds of it, it's very common.
Yeah, 100%. It's living in the community undiagnosed everywhere. I think, and that's it's for different barriers. People are scared to be told that they are diagnosed with something, and then they think, well, they don't know how to manage that or live with that. A money aspect, so financial reasons, people go, well, I don't want to go to a specialist, it's expensive, I'll just deal with it. But for me, I was like, no, I'll save all my pennies and go.
Yeah. What's one piece of advice you would give to someone that I guess thinks that they have endo? Obviously, look at their diet, their lifestyle, and then possibly see a specialist.
I would start with you can go to like a dietitian. You can go to a naturopath, but you have to be so careful because some of them are like full gypsies.
Yeah.
And they restrict everything from your diet and then reintroduce it, and that's not a way to live. Like, that can really fuck us up. But I'd go to your GP. I'd get a referral to a gynecologist, but I'd shop around. That would be my biggest piece of advice, because when I had my operation afterwards, I was, spaghetti regretti. Like, I had the shits at that lady. I was like, what'd you fucking do to me? Do you know what I mean? I'm going to sue you. Like, and look, some specialists have been sued, for negligence and things like that. It's a scary field. And you can fuck things up, but I wish I shopped around, I think. Whether I needed that operation or not, don't know. You never know.
Yeah.
So my biggest advice would be to shop around and just chill on the party. I know, especially young girls or people going through shit in life, they want to escape, but see a psychologist. Like, I see a counsellor, and we talk about, like, we've got a pain management group every month, and there's other women, and it's awesome. Like, it's to talk about the emotions behind it, and a lot of people are frustrated. Yeah, just
gotta take care of yourself both physically and mentally, and
don't Google everything and
self-diagnose. Dr. Google.
Yeah, Dr. Google. Just get some quality advice. Yeah, and stop flogging yourself in the HIIT workout. One piece of advice, I'll give you 15.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming out here and sharing all this advice or tips and knowledge.
People are going to listen to this and be like, what the fuck? I thought everything was the complete opposite the whole time.
Yeah, I'm going to have to listen back through this so I can kind of process everything. There's a lot of information you've just kind of thrown out there today. Let's finish off from the last 2 questions. We'll start with the first one. What's your definition of success?
Oh, yeah. That's a big question.
Yeah,
definition of success. My definition of success would be being content and relaxed in your lifestyle from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed. That would be success for me.
Awesome.
If that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
People can unpack that how they want, I guess.
Exactly. That's why I asked that question, because everyone has a different
meaning.
They're like, Yeah. And the last one is, when your time's all up and done on this earth, what would you like to be remembered for?
Ooh. The female hormonal specialist.
Awesome.
I want to fucking really help some women.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, like I'm going to develop some programs that will run for a minimum of 12 weeks, and they will have to be trialed and they can be purchased. But I want women to kind of recover themselves either from not having a period to then having one, or trying to avoid things like hypothyroidism and diseases and things like that, to just really fucking look after themselves.
That's awesome.
Stop doing colon cleanses off TikTok.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, because it's kind of, there's no one really else doing it, is there? what your kind of line of work?
So there is an app overseas, and I found it, and I was like, fuck off, stop being so good. Like, obviously they're rich.
Make your own app.
Well, apps are expensive. Do you know what I mean? So when I saw it, I was like, you motherfuckers got money. I was like, I have a bit of money, but not that much money. But that's good because it's competition for me, so I can see what's already out there and make it better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Put your own spin on it as well.
Oh, 100%. You know, so I can say I'm Australia's hormonal specialist, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, but girls are talking about it, trainers are talking about it, which is fantastic. More guys than girls at the moment, but guys are kind of coming around to it.
Yeah.
I'd love to, you know, even pitch kind of mentorship days to other trainers or, you know, even educators at schools or something.
Just upskilling people.
Fuck. To have that information and have that toolbox to go to young kids or to go to clients or people at home or in kind of facilities and care to say, look, I understand and I'm going to teach you how to deal with this or where to go or how to seek advice and, you know, how to kind of look after yourself in this crazy fucking world.
Crazy is an understatement.
Oh, 100%.
Fucked up world, we should say.
Oh, 100%.
You got to do what you got to do, and I love what you're doing and really appreciate you once again coming on. For all the listeners, where can we find you on social media?
So I'm, oh shit, what is my, I'm like, what's my, I think I'm Bronte Piper. So, that's a good question. Yeah, BRONTSPIEPR, but my business is called Body Engineering by Bronte.
Awesome. I'll put all the links in the description anyway and share it all on social media.
Awesome.
Thank you once again. Thank you for everyone tuning in.
They're going to be disgusted.
Yeah. It's probably the most weirdest episode I've done, but a cool but weird, great, full of information.
Like I'm not drunk. Fuck.
Oh, fuck, here we go.
I'll be like, well, let me show you some fucking photos.
But yeah, thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you weren't too disgusted. Follow Bronte on Instagram. Check out what she's doing. She's doing amazing things. If you enjoy this episode, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And give a rating on iTunes too. I really appreciate it. And we'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.
See you later.